What's up everyone? Welcome to Ashley Talks Movies. Today's video is a review of Anora. It's the new movie from director Sean Baker, who's made a number of notable indie movies that focus on stories about marginalized groups and disenfranchised people, movies like The Florida Project or Tangerine. Anora follows an exotic dancer named Annie who meets Vanya, the son of a Russian billionaire, who is spending some time in the US before going back to Russia to work in the family business. Annie gets a taste of Vanya's lavish lifestyle when she agrees to be his paid escort for a week, and when they fly to Vegas on a whim, the two decide to get married so that he can stay in the United States. But Annie's life is turned completely upside down when Vanya's parents find out about the marriage and set out to have it annulled. Before I jump into the review, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos I post here on the channel. Anora is the type of movie that takes you on a journey, one that's filled with so many unexpected twists and turns, one that has characters that feel very real, and a story that feels very real. The story sort of begins like a fairy tale. Annie is a sex worker living in Brooklyn. She doesn't come from money. She doesn't have a glamorous life, but things change when she's introduced to Vanya, who is the complete opposite in that regard. He comes from money. He's vacationing in America, all on his parents' dime, and he's partying. He's going from nightclub to nightclub. He's spending money on strippers and expensive hotels. And the two of them have this spark, and they begin this unconventional relationship and eventually get married. And the movie takes this modern fairy tale, this Cinderella story, and flips it on its head. And once Annie and Vanya get married and leave Vegas, reality hits. The rest of the movie is this wild, chaotic ride where we're watching Annie deal with everything as her fairy tale starts to unravel. She begins to question her relationship with Vanya, and she also has to deal with all these other people who get pulled into their orbit as things get messier and more complicated. Madison is fantastic as Annie, and I actually had to look her up because I really wasn't familiar with her work, and then I realized that she had actually been in a number of high-profile movies that I had seen and actually enjoyed. But here it's clear that she has this wonderful on-screen presence. She has this brash, in-your-face energy that just radiates off the screen, and the character of Annie is this tough, street-smart young woman who is also very vulnerable, and you see those layers come through in Madison's performance. Anora also works so well because the movie knows exactly what type of story it's telling and where it's going. It stumbles a little bit near the end, but it's so minor that it's easy to overlook because of how strong this movie is from start to finish. And all the characters are interesting. Even though Annie is the main character and the one we're following throughout this chaotic journey, the supporting characters around her also feel fully developed. You're able to get a good sense of who these characters are and what they're about over the course of the film. I've often complained about movies with supporting characters that seem to serve no other purpose than to take up space, but that's not a problem here. All the characters have arcs. They feel fully integrated into the story, and they have purpose. I also want to mention the humor in this movie. This is a very funny movie, and it has some of the best comedic timing and writing of any movie I've seen so far this year. And that's especially true in the second half when things start to really go off the rails. What I liked about this movie is that even though things start to get a little wild and crazy, at the surface, there is this critique, this very serious critique on the ultra rich. This is a movie that takes you inside a world that many of us will never ever be a part of in our lifetime. It's a world filled with excess. Vanya is this privileged, spoiled kid who spends his parents' money with very little afterthought. He lives in a large mansion, he's surrounded by expensive cars, he can hop on a plane and go anywhere he wants, when he wants. And then you have Annie, who is an outsider. She doesn't come from this world. She doesn't have a lot of money. But I love how the movie is constantly using her to challenge this idea that she can't be part of this world, that she can't belong simply because of who she is and what type of work she does. And throughout the movie, she is constantly pushing back against attempts by others to keep her out. Anora has already generated a lot of buzz. It won the top prize at this year's Cannes Film Festival, and it's very likely to be a strong contender this award season. And once you watch the movie, it's easy to see why. I really enjoyed this movie for all the reasons I already mentioned. This is a story that feels very grounded and very real, with characters that feel very real and are interesting, and the writing is sharp, and the movie looks very good. I didn't mention the cinematography, but the cinematography is great. It also has a really great soundtrack too. I really enjoyed this movie. From start to finish, it did not disappoint. So those are my thoughts on Anora. Share your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and stick around for more videos like this.